I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. In 2019, Ford Lake in Ypsilanti was a destination for wakeboarding as professionals in the sport wowed the crowd as they dominated the water. Watch the best of the best in wakeboarding next. Picturesque Ford Lake became the third stop on the Supra Boats Pro Wakeboard Tour.
We have the Pro Wakeboard Tour, which features the top 16 wakeboarders in the world and the top 6 wake surfers in the world competing head to head. It's a phenomenal event for wakeboarding and surfing and for the family.
It's awesome not only competing against your peers, but having a chance to compete against yourself and try to push yourself to the limits. The tour and Supra has allowed us to all come together in these awesome locations for battles.
Speaking of locales, Ford Lake was a coveted spot on the 2019 tour.
It's a tremendous site. It's level, it's deep. You're going to see some of the best wakeboarding ever. It's one of the best sites we've ever been to. They're being judged on amplitude, the size of the trick, the difficulty of the trick, and how well they execute the trick. So the judges take that all into account and give them a score, and they're posted immediately on the board so you can see how things are going. And it's just head to head. There'll be 4 people in each heat.
I'm trying to go as high as possible every trick, and then trying to make it look big and then aggressive.
I would say my favorite move is definitely a 720 big spin. I think it's visually pleasing and it's definitely challenging for a rider myself.
Back in on his switch toes.
They go 20 feet in the air. They're going to do double flips and back spins all in one motion. It's phenomenal that you're this close to the water to be able to see them do those kind of moves. And the surfers will do the same type thing, spinning constantly, doing 360s behind the boat without a rope. It's pretty cool to watch.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back in exactly 30 seconds. Summer is when people's love for baseball is at an all-time high. And here in Michigan, there are multiple leagues from the majors to the minors and everything in between. Experience the way baseball was originally intended by stepping back in time to an era of simplicity. The Union Baseball Club of Dexter took the courteous approach to play as they took on the Modern Baseball Club of Chelsea.
So we're playing 1860s bound rule baseball. So it's baseball when the game was transitioning from a game played by children to an organized game played by adults. It's just a more pure, I guess, form of baseball. For me, the attraction to it is just it's a more gentlemanly game. It's not cutthroat. It's not win at all costs. We're just, 2 clubs going out here having fun.
The game may seem familiar, but different at the same time.
You'll see largely no gloves. The uniform I'm wearing is somewhat appropriate to the time period.
We play by a different set of rules that are slightly different than modern rules. Balls can be caught off the bounce or a bound, and the batter can be out. There are different rules as far as no sliding, advancing on foul balls, and things like that. So it's very similar to modern baseball, but there are enough differences that we appreciate it for it the way it is, and it's considered a gentleman's game this way.
The greatest thing for us is just having a larger crowd out here, watching us play, cheering us on.
We all love good eats on the grill and a warm campfire. But before you ignite those flames, there's some need to know safety info. Learn more in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, my name is Mike Kennedy. I'm the Fire Chief for the Ann Arbor Fire Department, here today to talk about fire safety. We have a lot of information on the city website, a2gov.org/fire, for both grilling safety along with outdoor fireplace safety. For grilling safety, we recommend keeping grills at least 10 feet away from a structure. If you have hot coals, never throw them into the trash. That can cause a fire. And for outdoor fire safety, you can't have campfires in the city of Ann Arbor. They have to be 25 feet from a structure. You are also allowed to have portable fireplaces. Those have to be 15 feet from a structure. You need to make sure that they're tended at all times and they're completely extinguished before you leave. There's some additional guidance and requirements that are available on the city website. Please go there, check it out. If you have any other questions, please let us know. We're happy to answer.
Over 300,000 pounds of cardboard, plastic, paper, and aluminum were diverted from local landfills due to the hard work and dedication of participating Washtenaw County schools in the 2019-2020 school year. This recycling program is shaping the way the next generation thinks about the environment, and they're even spreading their message of sustainability through the arts. Joining me is Angela Porta, solid waste specialist with the Washtenaw County Water Resources Commissioner's Office. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this program came to be, Angela? When you think about, when I think about when I was in school, there was no recycling going on at that time. So I think a lot of things have changed, and talk about how this was introduced to Washtenaw County schools and how they can participate.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you, Dana, for having me. I'm really excited to be able to share about this program and celebrate the artwork of the students who won the contest this year. The Washtenaw County School Recycling Program got started in 2015 following a grant award from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, now Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. And that was following the launch of an initiative in 2014 from Governor Snyder to boost recycling in Michigan. So the county and other local organizations saw a need to bring recycling infrastructure and education into our local schools. So through the program, we provide the schools with infrastructure they need to successfully recycle. So indoor collection bins for the classrooms and other spaces, recycling posters to put with those bins so they know what's accepted. We provide the pickup services for the recyclables, and we also offer education sessions for the students as well as staff training.
Well, that was one of my questions. First of all, you have no idea people's households and if they're recycling or not. So if you have these bins at the school, but you're not recycling at home, you don't necessarily know what you're doing. So how are you educating people about the ways to recycle? And do you find that these methods of recycling end up going back home with students and families?
Yeah, so the Ecology Center delivers education sessions to the schools through a variety of ways. They can do assemblies, in-class workshops, and kind of touching on taking it back home. They've done some after-school activities where families are in attendance. So that's a great way for them to spread their message a little wider. But we do find that the students are really excited about recycling. We hope that they are taking that excitement home with them and sharing that in their household and their larger community.
There's a lot of ways that you can recycle. You talk about the bins and stuff like that. Do you find in the schools that there may be, reusing stuff for art projects and things like that? Do you see that happening in the county schools?
Yeah, I think especially with the younger students, they are seeing opportunities to reuse things and crafts. We did see that reflected in a lot of the submissions for the art contest this year. Lots of cute ways to just reuse all sorts of different items to make really great art.
Yeah, I know. In the last couple of years, you hear more and more about how important the reuse aspect is of recycling, because a lot of times we don't necessarily know where our recycling is going or what's happening to it. But when we reuse it, we know exactly what's happening to it. So I think that is also a good thing to introduce to students and at your house, to just think about those things instead of just like pitching stuff really easily, that you can use it for fun things at home too sometimes.
Right. Yep. They always have the choice to think about how they can kind of work up that waste reduction hierarchy to reduce or reuse before thinking about recycling.
So not all schools in the county are part of this recycling program. How does that happen? How are some schools part of it and some aren't?
Yeah, so when the school recycling program started in 2015, there were 8 schools in the pilot project. We are in 6 of the 9 public school districts in Washtenaw County. The Ann Arbor public school system has their own recycling.
Okay, so that's like, it's a separate entity, but they are recycling. They're just not a part of.
Yeah, they have
Washtenaw
recycling.
County.
Yeah, they have recycling and they have their own, system for that. And so we're kind of targeting the other ones that don't have their city or municipality kind of providing that pickup service already and education. So we have 29 schools currently in the program. And yeah, like I said, we're in 6 of the 9 districts right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd be shocked to walk into a school in 2021 and not see them recycling in some way because, you know, the schools have so much waste. There's so many people inside these buildings. And when I
Yes.
even just think about living in Ann Arbor in my house and like how much of our waste goes into our recycle and compost bin, I can't imagine the large amounts that would be coming from these schools alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the schools definitely have a lot of paper,
Yeah.
cardboard too. So we have a separate dumpster for cardboard at each of the schools because it's just such a large volume that they have. They saw a decrease in paper though this past year, of course, with virtual, and maybe we'll see that trend continue.
Yeah, we hope so, right? I was actually just talking about this because I've been working from home for over a year now and I don't print anything anymore. Everything is digital for me. And I go, even when we're like partially back in the office, I don't see myself printing really again. And I think it's just a way of changing the way you think about the way you're doing things. And you can do everything digitally if you really like just have a method to it, you know? You don't need that physical piece of paper in front of you.
Right.
And nowadays all these kids have computers and tablets at school, right? That's the norm.
Yeah, everything is kind of adjusting and shifting. It's like before when the most common thing in the recycling stream from households was newspapers.
Yeah. And like nobody,
today.
you can't even find a newspaper anymore, you know?
Right.
It is funny to think about the kind of stuff that we actually have. And I mean, probably a lot of it is plastic bottles when you look at people's houses. But yeah, at schools, it's going to be like papers and stuff like that where yeah we could try to just not use that stuff anymore and then just divert everything. You don't have it in the landfill, you don't have it in, you're not recycling it either because you don't need it, which would be like a great place to be. Because leads me to my next question where, you know, the state of the environment is scary when you look and hear the news about, you know, the way we treat our earth. It's not great. And we have to turn things around for us and for our children and stuff. And talk about why that's so important to talk about it with kids in elementary schools, even to get them thinking about the right ways to think about the earth and sustainability.
Yeah, so, you know, the education is a primary goal of our program. And so by bringing that education into the schools and teaching youth about the importance of recycling and extending beyond that, like where our materials come from in the first place, it's helping them to understand how the choices that they make on a daily basis can make an impact on helping to protect the environment. And then we're helping them pair that thought process with the actual action of recycling right there at school. I think pairing that decision-making process and the action together is reinforcing this behavior of pro-environmental choices. And then they can carry that with them back home to the community and hopefully with them into the future as they get older and become leaders in the community.
I know, I don't know where you were or, you know, when you were in school and stuff, but I didn't start recycling until I was like a 20 something. And I moved to this area because where I grew up, recycling curbside did not happen. You'd have to seek out a recycle center. And it was like, no one was talking about it. And I just love that we're talking about it now. And it is something that kids know. Like at home, I'll say to my daughter, I'll say, throw this in the recycle bin. And then she's like, which one's the recycle? You know, she'll forget sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, this one. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, nope, don't put that in the trash. That goes in the recycle bin. And I'm always like reaffirming that you have to put it in the right bin.
Right. So not they can practice that like at school, then
it's like it's second nature. You don't even think about it anymore.
Exactly. And that's kind of the hope, is that you get to this point where in the schools with the students and just in our community in general, that recycling is just the norm. It's just what we do. Yeah.
So one of the ways that you're really making them think deeper about recycling is through this art contest that you've been doing the last few years. Tell me about the art contest, how it came about, and sort of the kids' messages that they're, you know, they have messages that they're getting to sort of create the work they're creating.
Yeah. So the contest has had different themes in the past years, so we can, try to keep fresh each year. And it's just a really fun way for the students to express what they've learned about recycling and waste reduction in a creative way, and then have the opportunity to share their message with the larger community. So for this year, the elementary student theme was zero waste. So really thinking about that waste reduction hierarchy of reduce, reuse, recycle. And the secondary students, middle and high school, the theme was what would the world look like without recycling? And we asked them to include a slogan with their artwork. And we got so many great submissions. It's just so fun to look through all their artwork. You could just see that they really do have like a message that they want to share.
And they're thinking about it. They're really thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's not just like they're regurgitating that little bit that you give them. They're really thinking about that little piece you gave them and then broadening it to what they really think about recycling and the environment, which I think is amazing, because it's not like you're just like, here, the mundane, you're throwing your recycling in the bin. They're actually thinking about the world. And that's what we need. We need all of us to start changing our thought process. And we need to change even the older generation's thought processes about how we treat the earth. Talk about the winners. You have the elementary school winner. Let's hear a little bit about that submission and how their take on the contest.
Yes. So for the elementary school, the winner was Udhanya Jayaprabhu, and she is a first grader at Pleasant Ridge Elementary School in the Saline schools. And we felt that her artwork and message on her artwork to recycle the things was the most powerful response to our prompt for the elementary students. And when I say we, I'm saying we have the county and our partners in the program, Recycling Arbor, Ecology Center, Stevens Disposal. We all voted on these submissions to choose the winners.
And so then you have the older kids that submit, and tell us about that winner.
Yes, so the winner for the secondary contest was Abigail Antonio, and she's a student at Washtenaw International High School. And her artwork and slogan was called Destruction of Our Beauty. So really powerful message there. And again, we felt that that was the most powerful response to our prompt.
And then what did they win? One of the awards was a pretty big deal, I thought, when I was reading about it.
Yeah, so for the elementary contest, the award was to have the artwork displayed on a local billboard. So we did have Udhanya's artwork displayed on a digital billboard on I-94 from June 28th through July 4th.
Like, that is so huge. Can you imagine being a first grader and being like, that's mine. That is mine right there. Like, that's something you'll tell people for the rest of your life about.
Yeah, it's really special. And we're really excited to be able to share that artwork. Of course, we wish we could share every single one of them. But yeah, so that was really, really fun. And then the secondary contest, we shared Abigail's artwork digitally through our social media and through our partners' social media. It is on our website as well. And Abigail's school, Washtenaw International High School, was awarded a $500 prize from Stevens Disposal, which is our program partner who collects the cardboard at the schools. And they can use that $500 prize towards an environmental sustainability project of their choice. So we'll be excited to see what they do with that.
Yeah, that's really great. You know, before we go, is there anything that like we can be doing at home, with our young kids or even ourselves? You know, sometimes you don't realize that you could be doing something so simple. Like, for instance, in Ann Arbor, they make it so easy now to compost. You know, composting is really easy in the city of Ann Arbor, and they even compost paper towels now, which I think is absolutely amazing, because I think that's probably a lot of waste that goes in the landfill, is just throwing paper towels and stuff like that in there. So is there anything tips that you can give us at home, what we should be doing, helping our kids, anything like that?
Yeah, I'd say, I definitely recommend to everyone to make sure that you understand what the recycling guidelines are where you live, because it can vary community to community. So just kind of checking with your hauler or your municipality, if that's who provides it, what can go in my bin, So you know that you're putting the right things in, making sure that it's dry. You know, we don't want the pasta sauce to be getting all over the.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I've heard in the last few years is make sure everything's dry and make sure everything's really clean. They don't want
Yeah.
anything with any food residue on it. So even I sometimes think about doing this as putting stuff in my dishwasher before
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that they do that for the stuff that kind of really sticks on there.
Yeah, the stuff that you can't really clean with just like a sponge in your sink.
Right. So yeah, just making sure that it's, you know, clean enough that it's not going to start soiling the things around it in the bin.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin other recyclables, right? I mean, you're trying to do the best you can, so you don't want to, you know, have them have to throw out a whole container of stuff because you had some dirty things in there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, I think, you know, always striving to think about how can we reduce and reuse first. That reduce, reuse, recycle is in that order for a reason. So think up that hierarchy. How can I reduce? How could I reuse this? And in terms of, you know, supporting the recycling effort in schools and in public spaces, I think that the more we vocalize that having the opportunity to recycle in spaces beyond our home, like parks and schools and work, that we're vocalizing that that's important to us, that is going to help build that culture of having recycling infrastructure and recycling right just being the norm everywhere we are.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because you'd be amazed by, you know, just being vocal to city officials about stuff. You know, if enough people say, I want composting in my community, or I want this extended, or, you know, they will look into these things for you. And it could be a need that a lot of people have. And that if no one's bringing it to anyone's attention, they don't know.
Right, exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Angela, for taking the time to talk about this and how exciting for these kids to have their artwork seen at such a scale.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Like I said, it's really exciting to be able to share about this program and continue to celebrate these students.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.